Hey guys, Nomine here. I wanted to see how good Harbinger was, so I decided to do a 100 map test and record all the notable drops. So before recording these 100 maps, I was actually just running Scarab all willy-nilly, and I didn't really have any juice Scarabs that I was using. I was basically using whatever Scarabs I picked up off the ground, and I was up to like 7 fracturing orbs, and actually had one raw fracturing orb actually drop because of this notable right here, Unspeakable Offense, which means your currency shards dropped by Harbingers can drop as like a currency item. So my shard basically turned into an orb, and I'm like, hey, that's pretty good. And before jumping into the maps, let me just quickly talk about the Atlas passive tree. It's a pretty standard passive tree. I basically took all the Harbinger nodes. Here's the Unspeakable Offensive node that I was talking about earlier. Basically grab the quantity wheel, grab like the map modifier effects. Essentially, I favored ambush and Harbinger Scarabs just so I could self-sustain a little bit with the Harbinger Scarabs and sell the ambush Scarabs because they are really good to sell for profit. I took the shrine nodes because shrines are fun. I blocked most of the league mechanics that I found annoying, and I took the delirium node, and the delirium mirror spawned 100% of the time basically in all of my maps. I also took altar nodes and everything like that. I was just running either world altars chasing for that divine shrine, which never happened unfortunately. As for my Scarabs here, I used 3 Harbinger Scarabs like I mentioned. Basically you can have up to 3 of these, which add 3 Harbingers each in your map. And then I used 1 Harbinger Scarab of Regency, which makes it so that Harbingers in your area have a 50% chance to be replaced by a powerful Harbinger boss. The Harbinger boss drops a lot more currency shard than just like a regular Harbinger, so this is a very good Scarab to use. And then Harbinger Scarab of Warhordes, currency shards dropped by Harbingers in areas are duplicated. This can be very powerful, especially if you have fracturing orbs that drop. They're most likely, getting duplicated most of the time. And then for our Atlas mapcraft, we used Harbinger, of course, because we want as many Harbingers in our map. This strategy can be run on any maps. I did Jungle Valley mainly. I rolled my maps to have at least 80% map quantity, but according to the wiki guys, Harbingers aren't really affected by item quantity or anything like that, even like from players or anything like that. So you're not really gonna get any effect. I could have ran these maps white and I would have had the same data because the currency shards from the Harbingers, when you kill them, they're not really affected by item quantity or anything like that, as far as I know, according to the wiki, according to the PoE wiki. But again, if I'm wrong about something there, let me know in the comments. I sometimes just like fumble information just like everybody else. I'm only human. I could just be like misremembering or something, but I'm pretty sure item quantity doesn't really affect, map item quantity doesn't really affect Harbinger drops or anything like that. Okay, and let's jump into the Google spreadsheet data. But basically here's our map runs, T16s. We ran 100 maps. And this is all the quantity of loot that we got. So we got 66 fracturing shards, shards that turned into full fracturing orbs because of the Atlas passive notable that I talked about, like the Unspeakable Offensive. We actually had 0 for this data, but again, in my personal experience, I've had at least 1 happen in the past like that. Ancient orbs, I've had 248, and then orbs of annulment, I had 267. This is from both shards and just like the raw drops. I think this is an interesting number right here because it's almost 50-50, it seems like. It seems like ancient orbs might be slightly more rare than orbs of annulment, and these numbers would seem to suggest that, so I think that's pretty cool. Exalted orbs, we had about 35 exalted orb drops, just both raw from Harbingers and just like by picking up like the exalted shards when we killed them also. And then fracturing orbs from shards, so basically it takes 20 fracturing shards to make a fracturing orb, so you had about 3 fracturing orbs from the fracturing shards that we collected, and then we had like a 0.3 left over basically. And before we moved on to the other section, I think some of you have probably noticed that where is the chaos orb section? I actually chose not to track chaos orbs for this test, and the reason being, it's really hard to track which chaos orbs are coming from Harbingers and which chaos orbs are dropping from like, just like monsters in the map that aren't Harbinger. So, and it would have been way too annoying to like kind of like split all these like chaos orbs every single map. So I'm just like, you know what? I'm just not going to count the chaos orbs. It is what it is. I'm pretty sure like, Harbinger, as if you guys have played Harbinger, you get like 3, 4, like 5 chaos orbs per Harbinger sometimes. And we have like freaking like 9 plus Harbingers on a map sometimes, so like you can definitely have a lot of chaos orbs, but again, I just like chose not to record this data. I think this is just more simpler this way, and wanted to kind of record like more valuable drops that are like worth more than a chaos orb essentially, especially at this point of the league, right? And then down here, drops to divines, basically ancient orbs. So basically if you at the rate of at the current market rates, this is like kind of being a little conservative. Ancient orbs to divines, about 16.5 divines in ancient orbs. And for annulment orbs, you have about 4.9 divines worth of annulment orbs. And then fracturing shards to divines is about 16.5 divines. and then exalted orbs per divines is about 3.2 divines. And so that brings our total revenue to be about 41.1 divines. Again, this is just revenue, not profit. So on this right side here, I do have the scarab cost. So I used a total of 300 Harbinger Scarabs because again, you can have up to 3 in your map device at once. So I chose to use all 3. So that's where we get the 300 number. And then I spent about 7 divines on these 300 Scarabs, and then for both Harbinger Scarab of Regency and Harbinger Scarab of Warhordes, it comes out to be about 8 divines, plus or minus a little, but I decided to just keep it at 8 divines, just for rounding purposes and simplicity's sake. And the total scarab cost was 23 divine orbs. So, it's a pretty hefty investment. And then average time per map, it was about 5 minutes. Some maps I took 6 minutes. Some maps I took about 4 minutes. I recorded this time based on just by paying attention to see how fast I was completing the maps. And the average was about 5 minutes. And then hours to complete the 100 maps, I just, took this number, came up with the number of 8.3 hours. Divine orbs per hour, factor in everything, it's about 2.2 divine orbs per hour. And this number is calculated from the total profit in divine orbs. So the total profit minus the scarab cost is about 18.1 divine orbs. So it took us about 8 hours to farm 18 divines in profit, which comes out to be about 2.2 divines per hour. One thing to keep in mind, guys, this is just from this currency right here that I have listed on the spreadsheet. So like from ancient orbs, orbs of annulment, exalted orbs, and fracturing shards, and fracturing orbs if we had dropped any. Just keep in mind, I'm not counting like the chaos orbs that dropped, so it would probably be a lot more if I counted the chaos orbs. I'm sure I had at least like a few divines worth of chaos orbs. And also keep in mind that the rare monsters that Harbinger spawns, they usually are pretty good about dropping fractured items, I've noticed. I would get a few fracturing bases every map, like high tier fracturing bases. Fun fact, I don't know if there's a clip of this. I might have to dig around my stream and find it, but I did find a Reaver axe or something like that, like a really high tier axe base. And it had hybrid fizz and accuracy roll tier 1, and it sold for 30 divines, right? So that's like data that I'm not counting in this test because obviously like that's a huge variance, right? And then also I'm not counting like all the divine orbs that I got and stuff like that, right? Just by running the map and just like doing content and just like and like I had like some good uniques that dropped with like some good corruptions, which I'm not counting here either. So again, this is just like from raw Harbinger like currency essentially. Take of it what you will. I think there's definitely better strategies out there, but I think this is a pretty solid strategy. I farm my headhunter using this strategy, and honestly, in these 100 maps, the data looks a little messed up. Like it just seems like I got really unlucky. But I feel like, if you got super lucky, you would definitely make a lot more than just 18 divines total profit in these maps. But again, you be the judge. Let me know in the comments what you think about that take, what your experiences with Harbinger and everything like that. And also, guys, if you like this type of content, make sure to hit that like and subscribe button for the YouTube algorithm. It really helps the channel out. It really helps me out to let me know what type of content you folks prefer. And that's it for the video, guys. Just keep in mind, I do stream every night, usually from like 9 p.m. Central to like 12 a.m. Central Time. Sometimes I go later. Sometimes I go less. It really depends on the day. And on the weekends, I go more. So, check it out. Twitch.tv/Nomans. Please, if you like this type of content, let me know. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, all that good stuff. I am doing I'm doing the meta stuff right now, which is like T17 strong boxes, and I'm kind of trying to record the data also with that. So if you want to, see that video, if you want to keep an eye on that video, make sure you hit that subscribe button to be notified when that video goes up. And that's it for this video, guys. Thank you so much. No Mind out. Peace.